everyone, welcome to Breaking Barriers, where we focus on all things equity, diversity and inclusion in officiating. For those who are wondering who I am, my name is Anne-Marie Batson. I'm really proud to be your host today. I'm really passionate about EDI in sport and have seen the work that PGMOL have been doing in this area, so I'm really proud to be hosting this session. In this episode, we're diving into a really exciting program the PGMOL has been running for its officials that come from an underrepresented background. And it's an opportunity to learn something through experiential learning. And I'm delighted to say, to tell us more about this, so much more because I've got no idea, so I'm excited to learn about it, is the PGMOL EDI manager, Aaron Williams. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, Anne-Marie. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Real looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Same for me as well. The reason I'm asking if you're good, because I've seen you've been really, really busy across the PGMOL social media channels. But to give us an understanding of this program, the experiential learning program, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few years ago, a program was set up to pair up match officials operating between level 3 and 7 in the men's pyramid and 3W and 4W in the women's pyramid to give them an opportunity to see what officiating was like in the professional game of the respective pathways, and also give them further opportunities to understand the role of the observer, build their networks, and really create this whole family feeling in refereeing that we all know occurs naturally anyway.
Why did the PGMOL decide to run it, Aaron?
It's a number of different things. So particularly given this program targets those from historically underrepresented communities, it's about making sure that people have this opportunity they may be on the cusp of moving into the professional game, and it builds that affinity with PGMOL. It builds that affinity with the people that they come into contact with. But also if they are a new referee, or if they are somebody coming through the system at the moment, it enables them to build their support networks, and touching upon what I said earlier, this footballing family that occurs within refereeing. It gives them an opportunity to learn from people who have maybe been through experiences before them, but also for them also to be able to share a bit about themselves and maybe some of their lived experiences back with the people that they engage with.
And how important is hearing about those lived experiences? What's the aims here?
Yeah, definitely. And, we want to make sure that our workforce is representative, and from a footballing point of view and from a societal point of view. And with that comes many different lived experiences, and making sure that those lived experiences are shared so that people feel like they can bring their whole self to officiating is a wonderful thing. All the research tells us from a diversity, inclusion, and equality point of view, as well as a belonging point of view, that people who are able to bring them whole selves into a workplace are then more efficient, more effective in the job that they do as well. And that's intrinsic, and hopefully will demonstrate a better level of match officiating by people who can bring that whole experience of themselves to the game.
And finally, we're going to hear about the impact of the program from some contributors in the next few minutes or so. But from a PGMOL perspective, do you feel this kind of work has made a real difference?
I hope that the people who come on will be able to tell you it does. As having seen it now for the best part of a year and a half in operation, it's been a fantastic piece. I've seen some of the feedback. I've seen some of the real positives that have come of it. And what I won't do is spoil that by telling you about them now. I'll let the people who've been part of this, who've been part of the support network, Keith as an observer, fostering that environment that allows people like Lee and Umar to come to these games, enjoy the day, gain something from the day, share part of them with people like Keith and with the refereeing team, and really kind of dangle that carrot for them so that they go, this is going to be my season that I progress to the next level. This is going to be, in 5 years, I want to be a professional game referee. That's the affinity we want to build with them, and hopefully they'll demonstrate that for you.
Do you know what? That is such a brilliant build-up. I think we'll leave that there. Aaron, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited to meet our panelists now. So on that note, and that massive introduction from Aaron, of course, which makes me really excited to meet our panelists, let's get them up on our screen. So first up, we've got our officials that have been on the program, Lee Gel and Umar Ahmed. Welcome to you both. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having us.
And for another perspective on the program, we're joined by PGMOL's observer, Keith Hill, who knows several things about officiating, having operated at the top level for several years. How you doing, Keith? You good?
I'm really well. Really great to see you guys. Thank you ever so much for having me.
Great to have you with us, all three of you. Okay, so Umar and Lee, after Aaron's big introduction there, I've deliberately given you also a big introduction. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about yourself. So Lee, let's start with you. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so to be honest, I wish I had a story like I saw Rebecca, I saw Sean on the TV, and I wanted to go on a referee's course. But that isn't. In fact, I'd rather be honest. I first did my referee's course because I was 15 and I couldn't actually get onto the coaching course because I was too young. And that's why I did the course. I thought, oh, well, then I can have a role alongside playing in football. And that's why I entered it. Went into the course, was the only female in the room. And it was really daunting. Just like even comments throughout the course, does this happen in your game? And I think we're being taught laws of the game. It's not two different games. They're just played by different genders. So I think from that first experience, I was a bit like, this might be a struggle. But yeah, I've been officiating for 9 years now and really enjoyed it. But always saw refereeing as something that I did to help grassroots football. And I think it was only when the emergence of the women's pathway came out that I thought, actually, this is something that I want to be a part of and I do want to progress. So probably only in the last 2 years, I've thought, right, I'm going to take this professionally and seriously now. This is something that I want to invest in. And it has led me to, some people say, move to the dark side of refereeing rather than playing. But it enabled me to fall in love with football from the perspective of a referee, which I hadn't experienced before. And yeah, really enjoying it. So currently a level 6 referee in the men's game and 3W in the women's pathway. The women's pathway is probably what I'd like to pursue and what I'd like to progress in. But yeah, we'll continue on the men's as well.
Fabulous stuff. Umar, having heard Lee's story there, what level are you officiating at the moment? How did you get into it and how much do you enjoy it as well?
Yeah, great story, Lee. I don't think mine's as glamorous, really. But yeah, I think the way I got into refereeing, again, really, I think it was a bit of a mistake, really. So initially, I tried to get onto a coaching course, and then I thought I was on a coaching course. It ended up being a referee's course, and it just ended up going through with it. Really, I thought there's no point coming off the course now. Really, I'm on a referee's course, and I just dipped my foot into that. Really, obviously progressed through the grassroots level, and I just seemed to enjoy it, really. It was just, as games went on, I can improve my confidence and games got a lot better, really. So I've been refereeing out for about 15 years now. I'm a level 3 referee at the moment. Recently got promoted to level 3 last season. It's my first year and I'm really enjoying it. And again, I've seen the change of how the kind of referee landscape has changed and how refereeing has changed as well. When I did the course years ago, it was kind of in a sports center, but like in the bar area, and it was kind of sit down. There's no practical, and everything's different now. There's a lot of practical elements to it, and there's a lot of better understanding of diversity inclusion in it as well, really. So really enjoying it and just pushing myself as hard as I can to get to the next level.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Thank you both for sharing that with us. Of course, we've got Keith as well, who's joined us. He's an observer, having been an official. Breaking barriers isn't just for those who are officiating. It's also those who are new to it as well. So, Keith, can you tell us about your time as an official and what is an observer and why you decided to move into that role?
Yeah, well, my time as a match official started literally in the previous century. No, it literally was. In the 80s, you know, next year will be the 40th anniversary of me becoming a referee. You know, if I could have imagined that I'd be where I am now and had all the experiences I had over those 40 years that refereeing gave me, then, you know, it still amazes me I pinch myself sometimes. So yeah, once I'd completed operating on the field of play, when I got to 50 years old, which was something I always considered was a right time, I was asked if I wanted to, go up in the stand and see things from a much better angle, an angle where I always get it right. I wish. But I went up there and, recognized and realized that there was an opportunity to really, give something back, but also to try and impart that sense of opportunity, that sense of ability and achievement that comes with, being a really successful match official.
I like that, what you said, Keith, about going up into the stands and getting a better view and getting it right most of the time.
I mean, most people will probably agree if they ever saw me referee that's where I should have watched the games from 30 years ago, right? Because it does give you a very different perspective. You've got a 3D view. The guys on the field have got a 2D view. And I suppose that's really where we come in, with our opportunity to just see that from a different angle, see that from a different perspective, the wider angle that really can assist people. And as long as, people recognize that, there's an opportunity to improve, and there's an opportunity to progress, and there's an opportunity to achieve, taking on board those different views and opinions with an open mind, then there's a great opportunity to progress. Contrary to popular belief, we're not there to tell you how awful you are. We are there to encourage what you do really, really well, and maybe pose the right questions so that you can go and develop on the things that will make you better next week than you were last week.
Yeah, it is always about improving and progressing as well. So now that we know a little bit more about Lee and Umar, I'm going to come to you first. Tell us why you joined the program.
I think it was an excellent opportunity to get a real insight on the professional game, really. So I currently operate at the semi-professional level, and obviously that's still a very good level of football. But all referees who are taking it seriously, you'd think they'd aspire to be involved in the professional level as well. Really. So it was just curiosity to begin with, get a real insight into actually what is needed to be a top level match official, and that's obviously what I got from the program, and then also around the observers as well, and actually understanding what their role is and kind of demystifying that role, really, because they, especially previously, they've always been that kind of the referee and the observer relationship, and as Keith kind of said, they're there to develop you, really, and that's not always been clear to referees, especially. So I thought it was an opportunity to actually understand things from a observer's perspective, and it's mainly the insight as well. The referee who I went to see on the day, obviously clearly a very, very good referee to make at that level, at elite level. So it's an insight in what they do, just the whole experience of a stadium, and what I can learn from that and take into my game.
Is that the same for you as well, Lee, that you wanted to get some insight? Was that the main draw for you, thinking I'm going to apply for this program?
I think part of it was definitely to learn more, but I'm relatively new to the promotion pathway. And the big thing that I had was a fear of being observed. And I think now my season is done and I've actually had really positive experience with observers. I do feel differently. But when the opportunity came up, I knew that I had real fear of being observed personally. So for me, it was a brilliant opportunity to see how it is at the elite level. And my RDO, I said to my RDO, I don't want to be observed before December. I want to start, have like 4 or 5 months under my belt before I get observed. And Connor actually really supported me with that. And by going to the game and actually seeing that observers aren't there to ruin your mood, they are there to develop you. And I think getting that first-hand experience and seeing how they do it as the game is going on, it really changed my perception, and it enabled me to have a much more positive outlook and prepare myself for being observed later in the season.
Keith, you've achieved so much. I mean, you started this journey, if you like, in the last century, as you say. Why would you want to take on more responsibility?
Well, I'm really encouraged, by the opportunities now that the organisation, the PGMOL, are investing in. We have to be a reflection of society, and creating those opportunities and being that catalyst for making that happen, and being part of that is something that's really appealed to me. In my time, I was, I worked at the Football Association for 10 years, and we sought to achieve many things in that time. But, certainly the ramp has been so much steeper and so much quicker and so much better in the last 5 to 10 years. And I really wanted to be part of that. I've done work in the past for Kick It Out. I've done work in the past in respect of inclusion and diversity. And it just seemed like a continuation of that opportunity to be part of it, to make a contribution that actually starts to create catalysts where they should exist. That was really appealing to me, and I thought, I really wanted to show that there is a positive side and a positive element, because it is more positives. There are sometimes things that we have to do, but I think again, showing that there's empathy within the role is really important, so that people like Lee, people like Umar and others can get a sense of support rather than, interrogation that comes from the process.
And Keith, you talk about the positive experience. What was your expectation of that going into the program? Was it different to the actual experience itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I saw the rationale and some of the outcomes that we were seeking to achieve from it, they seem really positive. I've got to be honest, I gained much more from that, having been involved in it. This season, 3 people have come along to games with me, and each game has been very different. But the opportunities within those games to actually highlight not only best practice and excellent practice by the match officials, because they've all shown that within those games, but also to pose questions. What would you do? What would you do in that situation? What's your thoughts on that? I make it really clear when the guys come along that they're not there to sit there and just agree with me. I really want their opinion, because it's your opinion. You're the only one that's at every single one of your matches. So, harnessing and having trust in your opinion and recognizing how you can utilize that in a positive way is so important. And I think that's an extra benefit that I wasn't expecting to gain when I started my involvement. Seeing those guys, creating the environment, a real positive environment for them to have an opinion and to share it, and to celebrate it when it's really positive. I had that a couple of times this season where I was really pleased with what I was hearing. I was really encouraged by the comment and the rationale that was being applied to situations, and I think that bodes well for the future going forwards.
Lee and Umar, I'm really keen to get to paint a picture for everybody watching, and for me as well, because I'm learning so much listening to the two of you and to Keith as well. So I want to hear about the experiences that you've gained. So Lee, talk to me about some of the specific things you've experienced going to games.
Yeah, so the game that I had was Manchester United versus Everton. So yeah, big game. And I think within my game there was like just little things and then little tips that my observer could give me. We had a few key match decisions. The scoreline wasn't really that close, but there were still things that happened within the game that could have altered the final result. There was a really close offside, and my observer, I think what was really nice as well, my observer was like, I think she's right. I want her to be right, but I won't know until tomorrow when I get the footage and when I watch it back. And things like that. Do you know what? When you might be on grassroots game, maybe if I'm in the National League and spectators, managers might scream at me that I've got a decision wrong in their opinion. And I think knowing that even at that level, an observer that's got a good view, he's not completely sure at that time. You need to watch it back in footage. It's what we see in VAR at the highest level of the game. And I think that helped me. Like people may think, and sometimes from a view, like they may believe that you're wrong and things look different at all different angles. So that was really nice experience. And then there was our other assistant. He signalled that the goal would cross the goal line. So yeah, the goal was then given. And as well, like that's another huge decision. And I've now, like I've spoke to my observer after, and both of the match officials' decisions were correct. But they're huge decisions in games. And it is nice to then see that my observer, like he thought that they were correct at the time, and then he's proved they were correct with looking at the footage after.
And I guess added to that as well, Lee, when you've got two teams from the Northwest battling each other as well, that's also a big factor in your decisions or the decision making within the game, would you say?
Yes, definitely. To be honest, the match officials on the pitch managed tempers really well. But there was also actually the benches were obviously getting a little bit rowdy. It's a big game. You know what teams are like in the Northwest.
Yeah.
And just the communication from the match officials. The fourth official told the referee, I guess, comments that were being said. The referee came over, cautioned one of the managers, and it just de-escalates what could potentially happen. So yeah, really good game control and management from the match officials on the night.
Really stuff. I do love a good derby. Right, Umar, from your point of view, what have you had a similar experience that as Lee described? Let's hear from you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So sticking with the theme of derbies, yeah, mine was a bit of a Yorkshire derby as well. So it was Doncaster versus Barnsley. So it was a decent game of football. And again, the whole experience for me was really positive. Just as I said, the insight I gained just from the beginning were really good in terms of even to the level of seeing the observer use an iPad. I wasn't aware they use iPads to actually monitor things. I always thought it just may be like a notepad and paper, and I thought it might be quite like that. So just seeing the observer use an iPad to kind of record incidents and kind of monitor situations was really insightful for me. And again, as said previously, the empathy the observer had. The observer wasn't there to catch the referee out or to kind of point to decisions that were wrong. It was there to kind of highlight what was really good, and that was really interesting for me. Especially the referees' fitness levels were really good. I thought I was quite fit, but then when I saw that referee running at that speed and pace with those players, I thought that gives me something to kind of work on really. And I know I need to work and improve my fitness if I ever want to get promoted or get to another level really. But I think what was really good was for me also, and I had this going into it, was when I spoke to Aaron about it, it was around kind of the reverse mentoring. So letting the observer know a bit more about me as well. The observer was from a white British background, so his interaction with a South Asian person or even a South Asian referee may not be as common. So really it was that initial time we got there before the match, an hour before, we had that time to kind of bond, speak, just share experiences really. And it was probably around the time where I think my daughter was born. So I was kind of just sharing some stories around that. And he was like, oh, I didn't know you do that in your culture. And it ended up being much more than just refereeing and just around kind of the experience. It was a kind of learning from both sides, really.
I would describe that like a kinship as well. Yeah. That conversation that you had between you and the observer as well, just talking about your lives, everyday lives, but also doing this type of work as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think the purpose of. People probably think that you get there as the game kicks off. And even referees, really, you think you get there just before kickoff and you do that. But there's a lot of pre-work to go on before, and referees get there quite early. We arranged to meet an hour before kickoff, and that was really important, really valuable for me. And again, we shared what I want to get out of the program and what the observer's there to teach me, really. And again, the insight was really, really good.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Now, we've all been on programs and courses, even myself, had a really, really good time, soaked up loads of knowledge, and then get home and then go to work the next day or the next week thinking I've learned so much stuff and I'm going to bring it into my work life. And it kind of fades away as the days and the months go on because it's hard to bring in new things. It's hard to do things differently. So I'm keen to understand from Lee and Umar, how have you managed to implement what you've learned from the program into your lives? So let's start with you, Lee.
Yeah, so I think for me, when I probably decided at the start this season, I really want to pursue refereeing now. Yeah, stepping away, I am going to stop playing at the end of this season as much as I am. And then I think that actually what it really did for me was inspire me into this is a pathway. There is a place that I can get to, and actually I now want to get there. Like when I look at WSL officials, I think actually I do want to get there. So I think a big motivator and inspiration for me. And then it also enabled me to want to ask for help and support, to find a referee coach for myself. And then as different programs and opportunities came up, I guess I've just grabbed those with two hands, which has really helped me develop as a match official. And I think that sometimes you see refereeing as, well, I had seen it, very male-dominated, very sometimes competitive. Obviously, we have merit tables. Not everybody can get to that top level. But actually, I've never met a match official that doesn't want to see match officials around them do well. I've never, ever met a match official that wants another match official to perform badly. And I think that really creates that nice family. But what I've taken the most, I guess, is using the support network around me and how can I develop myself. People may not always give you positive feedback, but at the end of the day, they want you to progress and they want you to be the best match official you can be. So yeah, really positive from that.
And Uma, picking up what Lee said about that she's been able to implement what she learned from the course, have you been able to do the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lee said inspiring, and that's certainly what it was, really seeing a referee at a professional level operating, and obviously the qualities that referee had. Fitness was something that was really stood out for me, and the way the referee looked professional in everything they did, really, that was really good for me. That's something I'm trying to take back into my game and when I referee as well. And I think another important thing was that relationship with the observer. Just like us referees, the observer's a human as well, so they're not there to catch you out. They'll be asking questions, and they're there to support you, really. And that's what I found was, especially when I get observed quite regularly at my level, just respond to the observer in a human way, really, and respond to them normally, really. But I think previously I used to get quite defensive. If they asked me a question about a certain incident in the game, straight away in my head it was alarm bells. They're trying to catch me out, or what? I'm getting very defensive in that situation, just like the referee did on the day. He answered with clarity, he answered politely, he answered just in a way that was from development, really. And I think that's really important. I think a big part of this was demystifying that relationship between observer and referee, really. And then just as a referee from a South Asian background, for me just to kind of be part of a professional football match and be involved in that was really good for me, and it kind of gives me hope for the future.
Keith, can you share a story about Tom Amber? I believe he's a referee that's been on the program.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, you know, how inspiring were those two guys just then with them answers. I mean, that sort of epitomizes the success that we're looking for from this program. And if we carry on in this vein, it's going to really make a big difference. So that was really, really positive to hear. Tom came with me to a game at Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient play Carlisle. Really big game right at the top of the table. And I made sure that I got him to have a bite to eat with me before the game, just so that he had an opportunity to relax and we could create some of those demystifying opportunities within that pre-match meet. Tom came along to the game, and I was really impressed by his positivity. He's in the core program, and he has a coach who I know well, who operated with me on the playoffs one season. And so it was really great to see those connections occurring. But Tom, lives in East London, and thought about trying to connect him with a couple of people in that local area as well, because again, when you're progressing and you don't always have those opportunities to connect to other people close to you. So having seen other referees operating this season at level 2. I was able to make that introduction. And again, that will, I hope, assist with him in terms of maybe some opportunities on pre-season games that we might not otherwise have got, because that referee could seek to utilise him. And again, that will give him exposure in match time to a referee who's operating, just one level below the Football League. So that is what I aspired to do. And of course, since the game, I was able to follow that up with some further rationale, some further outcomes, and get his thoughts, because it's really important that, and as we've heard from both Lee and Umar, they've got an opinion, they've got a view, and we want to hear it, because, it's really important. And I think we can just, guide and direct and, you know, assist in that becoming solid and of value and correct, then that's got to be great. I mean, ultimately, it's down to them to go and do it when they're in their games. But, you know, these opportunities to just, you know, to watch from another angle alongside somebody with insight, somebody with passion, somebody with the desire to see success, I think, you know, should help be that catalyst that we're looking for this program to be with those guys as they go forward in their own refereeing careers.
And Lee, if there is somebody out there thinking about applying, an official that's thinking about applying for the program, what would you say to them to get involved?
Yeah, I think just reach out and go for it. Get out of your comfort zone. I think for me, I sat in my comfort zone for a long time. Didn't really officiate games that were challenging for me, and just stayed at the basic level. So yeah, my advice would definitely be to get out of your comfort zone, reach out. Nobody's gonna like just not want to help you. Everybody wants to help referees. And I'm also a part of the FA's Emerging Talent Program. And for me, like, I've probably developed more as a match official this season than in the previous 8 seasons that I refereed, just by all of the support and the development that I've had access to. And you don't just get given them, I guess, handed to you on a plate. Sometimes you need to explore and find out what there is available to you. So yeah, go out and find what there is and give your best self and jump in wholeheartedly is my advice.
I like that line. Jump in wholeheartedly. Umar, same question to you, really. If there's an official out there thinking about applying, what would you say for them to get involved? But also, what can an official gain from the program as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Get involved, apply, and it's an excellent opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity, amazing insight to learn. But also, if you're going to be involved in it, leave your mark as well. Really make sure when you go there, you're there to represent yourself. And if there's any learning the observer can have from you, whether that's from your kind of cultural background or your ethnic background, your religion, anything around that, really, you go in with a kind of two-way process, really. You're going to be learning, but also you want to kind of represent yourself as well. Amazing opportunity, as I said before, the insight to see a professional referee. And even if you take one little thing from that, really, and you can take that into your game, that'll benefit you so much more, really, whether that's fitness, whether that's the way the referee manages players, whether it's something as simple as the signals and how crisp and sharp they are. There's going to be something there. And if you can take some of the golden nuggets that you learn from there, it's going to benefit you straight away, but also in the future.
Keith, final words from you. What have you gained from being on the program and as an observer? And also, again, if somebody's watching this and thinking, oh, I might fancy giving this a go, why should they put themselves forward for their initiative to be an observer?
Thank you, Emery. I've gained so much, by being involved in this. I thought I would, but it surpassed what I thought I gained from it, right? So yeah, I mean, and I think it's really true. This is called about breaking barriers. Well, barriers can often be two-directional, right? And I think some of the colleagues who observe, can learn so much by having somebody alongside them. As Umar said, it's the cultural differences, the cultural opportunities to learn from each other. Go along, do it. Open up the opportunity for someone to sit alongside you, because you've got to have an open mind if you want to have a growth mindset. And creating those opportunities to learn yourself, even if you are an old dog, for want of a better term, right? Old dogs can learn new tricks. And I think it's really important for us as an organization that we all have that mindset that says there's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And it doesn't necessarily come from the places you think it would. Some of them can be new experiences and you can learn a tremendous amount. So, yeah, I would say to any of my colleagues who are thinking about doing it, who haven't availed themselves of the opportunity, get involved. You'll learn a tremendous amount, and that will make you a better match observer.
And I think that is a brilliant way to wrap up. So if you didn't know about the PGMOL Experiential Learning Program, now you do. I hope listening and watching this session, you've taken on loads of information. I've certainly learned a whole load today, which has been brilliant. And that has not been possible without our brilliant panelists that have joined us today. To Lee, to Umar, both you two, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Wembley refereeing an FA Cup final in the years to come. And Keith, also a massive thank you for you as well, and continue doing your brilliant work as being an observer. And we can't forget not to say thank you to Aaron as well from PGMOL, who you heard from at the start of the session. The next Breaking Barriers session will be happening soon, so keep your eyes out for that. And also keep an eye out on the PGMOL social media channels as well, on all things officiating. Thanks to everybody for watching, listening, sharing, liking, making comments as well. We appreciate you all. Keep them coming as well, because they're brilliant. They are oxygen to us, and we love hearing from you. And I've been Anne-Marie Batson, and this has been Breaking Barriers. Let's keep working together to diversify our sporting